All right, there, everyone. More and more pundits are admitting that Joe Biden has already lost this. This campaign is effectively over. And don't think for a minute that anyone is going to be able to save the Democrats here. We're going to take a look at what pundits are saying about Biden and why it looks like, for all practical purposes, the Biden campaign has collapsed before it even began. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. I certainly hope you're all safe and sound on this lovely locked down Wednesday. Before we get into the collapsing Biden campaign, make sure to click on the link below and check out the video we did on our brand new Turley Talks Insiders Club. I think you're going to absolutely love what we have to offer for you there. And you'll definitely want to be a part of this international fellowship of conservatives from all over the world who, like you, share a passion to see our conservative values triumph throughout all the nations of the world. You're going to absolutely love it. And finally, obviously all the preppers are going, "We told you so," right? And the financial advisors are all scrambling to justify their advice on your retirement funds. But it all means diddly squat at this point. This isn't the time for the blame game. This is the time to help each other out. Now, before this crisis happened, our good friends over at Noble Gold had been helping investors to educate themselves and discover new ways of avoiding financial disaster. And that's still the case today. And they're offering right now to talk to you for free about what choices might still be on the table to rescue your retirement plans. They've helped hundreds of people secure their stock-backed IRAs with gold and silver to stop them falling so hard, and that's why it's time you get into the world of physical precious metals before it's too late. Have a chat with our good friends over at Noble Gold by giving them a call at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347, or you can hit the link down below and get their free investor's guide. Tell them Dr. Steve sent you. You'd be glad you did. All right, gang, let's dive in here. Justin Webb has written an interesting piece over at Unheard entitled "Joe Biden Has Already Blown It." It's an interesting piece, largely because it flirts with a rather patronizing and frankly a pathetic caricature of President Trump. Webb's a Brit, and his depiction of President Trump in the article could have been written by Rachel Maddow, for heaven's sakes. I mean, when you have the likes of Geraldo Rivera coming out and saying that President Trump is doing an amazing job, there's really no excuse for parroting these left-wing talking points about him. But nevertheless, even he, this guy Justin Webb, is recognizing that Joe Biden has indeed blown it. He's simply not up to the task of winning a presidential election, let alone being president. And you know, it's becoming increasingly clear, virtually everyone is admitting this, at the very least, that Biden is struggling and struggling badly. And Webb just details why so many have become so disillusioned with Biden's campaign. First, as Webb notes, Biden went missing. Did you remember that? Remember the "Where's Joe" meme, the hashtag "Where is Joe" trending on Twitter? You remember that? You have an international crisis emerge, and what does Joe Biden do? He actually goes into hiding. He goes AWOL. And it wasn't like people didn't notice. There were several articles out there going, "Hey, Joe, this is your moment, man. Show the world what kind of leader you are here." And instead, he disappears. He leaves the scene. He's absolutely nowhere to be found. All the Sunday morning political shows were dying to have him on to showcase his extraordinary leadership, supposedly so, right, during a time of international crisis. And he's gone. He's literally nowhere to be found. So word gets back to his aides, who are also rather incompetent, as it turns out. Word gets back to them that Biden's becoming nothing but a joke at this point. Everyone knows he's hiding so as to prevent any more of his characteristic gaffes, which damage him politically. But his aides realize that his going dark, going AWOL, was hurting him even more. And so Biden came out, sort of, and announced an address to the nation, which caused the fawning leftist propagandists at ABC to announce that Joe Biden is seeking to offer a possible presidency preview, right? This is so exciting. He was in the bunkers all this time, but now he's coming out to show us that he's actually been plotting this great presidential takeover, right? That's what you were getting from this ABC News. And so he gave this 15-minute address from his home in Delaware to give us a preview of what the presidency would be like in a Biden presidency. And boy, did we get a preview of this. Even this British guy, Webb, said it was utterly painful to watch. Not only did he have to have a makeshift lectern with a cheap Biden sign on it, it was ill-lit and all that sort of stuff. And it just went downhill from there. And here's my favorite quote from this 15-minute address. You ready for this? This is your Joe Biden, your next president. And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that let me go to the second thing. That's Joe Biden in a nutshell. And of course, this is during the time when his teleprompter broke. And again, his hand motions during it, and all the gibberish that was coming out of it, it was amateur at best and downright ridiculous at worst. And it was indeed jaw-dropping that former vice president and his staff couldn't have managed better. But then even when he's responding to questions, Biden just looks like he's somewhere else. Again, this guy, Webb, couldn't help but notice how pathetically patronizing it was when a CNN anchor actually felt like he had to instruct Biden that he wasn't supposed to cough into his hands anymore, which Biden was doing during the interview. So Biden is a disaster by any objective political assessment. The very fact that so many Democrats are talking about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is testimony to just how bad Biden is. And by the way, like I've said in one of our other videos here, I don't know why so many people think that's going to happen, that Cuomo is going to get the nomination. Joe Biden is and remains, for better or worse, the presumptive nominee. He's got all the delegates. He's not going to just go quietly into the night here. Now, I know Tucker Carlson's coming out and saying that Biden is not going to be the nominee. I get it. But I don't know what he thinks is going to happen to all those delegates, that Biden has won fair and square. Why would Biden suddenly just give them all up? He has all the leverage here. He has all the leverage. And once the primaries start up again, he's going to win the vast majority of delegates, precisely because it turns out that Bernie has been exposed as being a total loser, right? Bernie is no revolutionary. He's a complete and total loser, and he's completely content with losing. So Biden is going to clean up the rest of the delegates. He'll have all the leverage, and I just have no clue why Tucker thinks that a narcissistic politician like Biden is just going to roll over and just give up all those delegates and go quietly into the night. But nevertheless, Joe Biden is at this point the presumptive nominee of the Democrats. And I really don't think that there's anything that they can do about it at this point. I mean, just look at him. Have you ever seen a nominee look so blatantly inept and absurdly embarrassing? You see, we have to remember here, too, that according to what's called the primary model, which is the election prediction model designed by Stony Brook University professor Helmut Norpoth, it's known as the primary model. We've talked about it before. And according to Norpoth's model, the popular vote winner in the early primaries always goes on to win the general election. What's so interesting is that Norpoth bases such an observation by studying elections that go back to 1912, which is the first time when the presidential candidates had to win a number of primaries. And in each case, the candidate that was stronger in the primary went on to win the general election. So the model has a near perfect record in predicting presidential election outcomes. Well, again, remember, the candidate who wins the popular vote in the early primaries goes on to win the general election. That's the pattern. So how did Joe Biden do in the early primaries? Well, he was destroyed in New Hampshire. He came in 5th place. And this while Donald Trump, keep in mind, set a new record for incumbent voting. He got 3 times the votes that Obama got back in 2012, the last time an incumbent ran for re-election. Biden came in 5th. And this was after his humiliating defeat in Iowa. Now, he did go on to win South Carolina, but he was considered politically dead up to that point. He was trounced in the Nevada caucus. And so it's no surprise that Norpoth's model predicts that Trump has a 91% chance of beating Biden in November. I think in many ways this election is over. Of course, we'll have to see what happens. But more and more pundits are saying that no matter what happens with this whole coronavirus situation or whatever, Joe Biden, the presumptive nominee, is no match for Donald Trump. Now, before you go, you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the ultra-left Rachel Maddow humiliating herself yet again. She tried to diss President Trump, and she succeeded only in embarrassing herself. It'll absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.